Okay, so I do have 1,000 subscribers on my other channel, and that's a good thing. I'm happy about it. It was something that I worked very hard for ever since they took away my monetization in February. I believe it was in February. So it took me less than a year to get to the 1,000 subscribers. And had I known that I needed 1,000 subscribers, I probably would have gotten 1,000 subscribers much earlier. It's just that I didn't think subscribers mattered at all. I know that's crazy. That's crazy, but I'm not a very socially motivated person, so I thought views mattered and subscribers did not matter. That was how I looked at it. So now here I am, and the question is, what can I do with this? They're going to figure out whether I meet community standards, and they say it's going to take them a month or so. And then once they approve me, the majority of my views and the majority of my subscribers just want to watch grooming videos of Bo. And that's fine. I love to be groomed by Bo. There's nothing wrong with that. But I was hoping that this would be a platform for me to sell my books. But now it just doesn't seem as though there's ever going to be a way. The Few Who Count was my first novel, and there's a lot that you can say about it being childish or not quite mature enough or whatever. I was 16 when I started writing it. I was about 22, 23 when I finished. And so it's a novel without a lot of the gritty details of what life is actually like. Vacuum County is the opposite of that. Vacuum County shows you a lot of different strata of society and how different people think. The Few Who Count was basically directed toward people who are already a libertarian, people who are already in favor of free enterprise and freedom of contract and the right of people to decide what they do with their lives. And to the extent that it's not easy for everyone to identify with the characters, because not everybody is like that, there's actually a very important point in The Few Who Count that I smuggled in there, and that point is that the corporate entity with its limited liability violates free enterprise. It should not be possible for people who invested in business to avoid the liability of partners when the business does something to hurt innocent bystanders, according to the rule of respondeat superior. And because investors and corporations do not have any skin in the game, and that's a term that I later learned from Nassim Taleb, because they have no skin in the game, they don't actually watch over who it is that runs the corporation. Because if the corporation does badly, all they lose is their investment, but they don't lose their houses, their savings, everything else. And so they don't have enough at stake. From a literary standpoint, Vacuum County is my best novel. It's just more perfectly formed than any of the others. And it deals with the entire breadth and depth of society, and it does it in a microcosm of one little county in Texas. And it deals with biblical issues. I mean, a biblical story taken into Texas. It deals with the Carthaginians. It deals with very, so very much. But it's the depth of it is such that it's hard for people to draw any kind of conclusions from it. Even the conclusion that taxation is theft, which of course I do believe, is not necessarily one that your average reader is going to immediately arrive at after reading Vacuum County. And what I've noticed is that especially people, I mean, there are two kinds of people when it comes to the biblical references. There are those who are totally blind to it, and they have no idea because they've never read the Bible. And then there are those who have read the Bible, but they think they know who the good guys are in the Bible. You know, the Bible tells you who the good guys are. David's a good guy. So that if he's a good guy, then I guess everything he does is good. And the fact that he takes taxes and builds a temple, I guess that's good, huh? Yeah? You like that? So it's tough to try to get people who have already bought into this story to see that maybe there's another way of looking at it. Maybe if you take off the labels that you were told in Sunday school or wherever it was that you studied the Bible, you can see that some of these things are not okay. That it's not okay to go and demand taxes from someone who is just minding his own business. That it's not okay to force your religion on somebody else. That it's not okay to, join with the enemy in pillaging your own people. And then there are my last two novels, Theodosia and the Pirates and Our Lady of Kaifeng. And if you ask me which one of them is the last or which is the first, it's kind of confusing because I wrote the first half of Our Lady of Kaifeng first, and then all of a sudden Theodosia the Pirates overcame me. So I wrote the first half of Theodosia the Pirates after that, and then the second half of Theodosia the Pirates after that, and then the last half of Our Lady of Kaifeng after that. So you could say that Our Lady of Kaifeng was my last novel, but I started writing it before I ever wrote Theodosia and the Pirates. So nothing is as clear-cut as you would think. Our Lady of Kaifeng is, in one sense, maybe my deepest novel, even though it's not my best in terms of literary achievement. It deals with autoism, which is akin to autism, but it deals with that sort of person who thinks it's not important what other people think. I will do what is right for me, and that includes in a situation where you fall in love. So Mara, our heroine, falls in love with Mr. Sesame, and it's very clear that he doesn't fall in love with her, and that doesn't stop her from pursuing that love to the very highest of her ability. She crosses oceans for him. She jeopardizes her life and the life of her child for him because she believes that what she feels is important. And it's not any less important because he doesn't feel that. But on the other hand, she doesn't force herself on him. It's not like that. But when you get to the second half of Our Lady of Kaifeng, it's also a rather deep examination of why socialism doesn't work. And not just it's those situations where it's called socialism, but even in a concentration camp where the benevolent Japanese commandant allows people to vote on everything. If you always vote on every economic choice instead of making it based on what is right for you, then you are going to have you got to have kitchens where the food isn't very good. So if they had been allowed to have money and buy their meals in the kitchen where they like the food the most, that the food in the kitchens would have been a lot better, because that's quality control. But instead, they voted. They voted who the chief person, who the chef was going to be in each kitchen. And that's based on popularity. So in a way, it's kind of like what's going on at YouTube right now. I know there are a lot of people who have always had 1,000 subscribers, but they haven't had the views. Why? Because they're very popular people, but they don't have good content. And if you base everything on popularity, it's not going to work. It's not. So I think that if you really read Our Lady of Kaifeng, you'll find that there's a lot to learn about teaching. She is a teacher. She does to try to teach content. She doesn't pander to her students. She's an honest person, and she faces life and death decisions. And you could see a little about how having good intentions isn't good enough. You have to do the right thing. And what about the Edosh and the pirates? Well, if you've ever wondered if there is a different way to run a war, because you see, I do believe that sometimes you do have to defend your country. But does that mean we have to have a standing army? Does that mean that we have to pay taxes and keep lots and lots of people in the armed forces, where obviously they don't have the same civil liberties as everybody else because they can't? They have to promise to be silent about all sorts of things that are happening. Instead, we could allow people to be privateers, and we could hire people to help us when we do need someone to defend us from the enemy. So the story of Jean Lafitte is a true story. The story of Aaron Burr, what happened to him, and how he was persecuted, is a true story. The love story in Theodosia and the Pirates is probably not real, and a lot of people objected to it, and I'm sorry. I may have been a little bit self-indulgent in that. That was kind of the swan song of my hope for love. But you could forgive me for that and still read it. There's a lot to learn about patriotism, about the defense of your own country, and how you can't let the government be in charge of the defense. Because what the government did was it went off after the people who were trying to defend the United States, and it kind of supported the people who were trying to invade the United States. So read Theodosia the Pirates with that in mind, and maybe you'll find that it is interesting after all. Please give me a chance. I am not planning to write any more novels. These are the novels I have. I also have a few books for children. Some of them are on Audible. Some of them are read by Kelly Clear. Please just give it a chance. Because while I am a primatologist, while I do work with Bo, there is more to me than that. And it would be sad if, because I'm so scared of losing subscribers, I wouldn't be able to tell you any of these things.